Hi guys, it's EGC here. So today I'm here with another premium deck profile, and this time what I'm covering will be an Narukami. So basically during this set we have 2 to 3 types of builds, that 2 of them being like Eradicators focus, which is reverse, and also this weak command. Today I'm not going to cover that, but more on a more fun build, which is the Armor Break Dragon. So it is an old card that if you in the game long enough, you know about this card. It's just a YOLO card that you don't see yourself winning with that card actually, except in the anime, because there's no PG restrictions. You just hit a little bit harder with a lot of crit, and your opponents just give you a PG, and that's it. That's what happened in the past, but now it's kind of the same but different. And let's go over the deck list and check out how it is improved and can it actually bring you victory. So Standing Vanguard doesn't matter anything you like, so just pick the one you want. And I just showed you it's a Armor Break deck, so of course we are having 4 of the Armor Break Dragon. So let's talk about his skill real quick. His active skill, Vanguard Circle, Counterblast free, and bind all of your opponent's front row unit, and for each empty front row Riga Circle from your opponent, this card get plus 10k and 2 crit. So if they have 2 open empty Riga Circle, you get plus 20k, you get plus 4 crit. So just by this card is hitting for 5 damage. And as I said before, we afraid of opponent using PG, and the second skill is doing the job for you, which is also a Vanguard skill. When this unit attacks, if your damage is 4 or more during the battle, this unit will gain an extra 10k, and your opponent cannot call Sentinel from their hand. That also includes the 30k shield. That's also include their protect. So just by this, you usually will have a 42k Armor Break Dragon with 5 crit, as long as you have 4 damage and you have 3 counterblast to give. This usually can just one hit win you the game, usually. But of course, there are decks that are very good at defending their stuff and being so annoying, but this is a fun deck, so you don't need to care about that so much. What you need to do is just go for a romance, counterblast free, wipe your front row, wipe your opponent's front row, gain as much power and crit as you can, and just strike in for the damage. And if your opponent is playing a XL deck, which means they will have more empty front row circle, and you will just gain more crit, more power for the fun. The only weakness is the counterblast free, but given that this skill is so powerful right now, as long as you have 4 damage or more to like block the Sentinel, it is a crazy skill. So they still need to give you a heavy cost so that you just can't spam it every single turn. But in this deck, we are aiming to do it for like 2 to 3 times, hopefully. Like usually 2 times. And you will see how that is going to be done. Right. And then next, we are actually relying on a very old friend, the Tonics Stinger Dragon. So this is a card from BT03 of the era, so it's a very old card. It's basically the first Narukami set release card. Why I'm using this card is because we can simply increase the attacker, and he can also bind something in the front row to give your Vanguard a plus 10k. So that is something very nice to have, right? And he can also gain 5k. Well, the skill is kind of different. So the binding front row is plus 5k, and then when you run on top, you call it to Riga Circle and your Vanguard plus 10k. So making your Armor Break Dragon even stronger. and you get extra circle by writing, so you can just put this card there, and this card will usually if you are going for armor break, then you don't need to use that kind of blast to wipe a front row unit, but if you really want a 5k plus, feel free to do that, that's okay. The main use is that, and another reason for going for the Tonic Stinger Dragon is I want it to be more kind of unique than having a unit that when people looking at the list, they will think it is not the Armor Break Dragon deck. Because there are so many things that you can actually use. You can like chuck in like sweep command, you can chuck in a lot of eradicated cards, you can even use the Gauntlet Buster, which I do see a lot of people using. But if you are using Gauntlet Buster, you probably won't go for Armor Break, right? And like if you have these two cards in your hand, you probably will just go for Gauntlet Buster, because you can easily use it 2 times and you don't need to wait for 4 damage. But this deck, I'm trying to tune it to be a Armor Break Dragon deck, so when I think of what is actually a good support unit for the deck, I go for the Tonic Stinger. Right. And next, I'm using 2 of the Bolt Pipe Dragon. So it was a very hard to get promo, but now he gets reprinted, so it's so easy to get right now. And it is a 12k body, it is a 10k shield, with only restriction as if your opponents have 2 or more units in the front row, this unit cannot attack. But you have so many cards that help you to wipe the front row, so you don't need to worry about that too much. That is the main reason why I'm using this, and it's just good to put in the XL circle. And if there are chances that you really need to go for XL1 for the push, at least he's a 22k on the XL circle, so it's still a very good card. And then Sparkling Dragon, because Sparkling Dragon can simply add attack quite easily. We are binding a lot of times, and it only counts for card in the bind zone to gain the 10k, and he is good at pulling units in front. That is depending on if you want to, right? But it's okay because you use your Armor Break already, you gain your crit, you gain your power already. Then if you really want to like do an extra work, you might really go for the Tonic Stinger play to actually also bind another unit and then pull one out. But I usually don't need to use the skill. If I see something annoying, I probably will go for using these 2 as a combo for the play, rather than going for Armor Break and trying to do that, because it's just not effective, right? So I'd rather not try to think of that way. And then Dust Plasma Dragon. This card is also from BT03, so it's also a very old card, but his skill is so simple and effective that during your turn, if your opponent's Regard is being bind, for the turn, the unit that is in the same column as him and also himself can plus 5k, so you always binding cards, so it's so easy to gain in power, and you can just chuck in whatever at the back that can boost, and you get an extra 10k. That also solves the not enough power problem, which is really nice. And then straight time for the draw power, because it's so easy to actually draw. Basically just that, because I'm not running Gauntlet Buster, so I don't need a lot of copies of this card. That's basically it. And then 3 of the Eradicators Demolish Dragon, for the draw power, for the on hit pressure, on boost pressure, and a possible binding card action, and also filling the soul, because we do need soul for the next card, which is our saver of the deck, Helena. So Helena is here for the counter charge, because during the time if your opponent's Regard is being bind, once per turn you can if you have no card on your damage zone that is face up, then you can Soul Blast 1 and counter charge 1. So you use a lot of counter blast and then you use this to actually flip things back up. That is quite important, I think. Even though the limitation is if you don't have any face up card on your damage zone, but think about that. You counter blast 3 for something. If you only on 3, then you can just split 1 and take 2 damage and be good with it, but you usually want to be at 4. Or you at low damage, you want to use these ones, but you still want to save the counter blast for your armor break, then you also use this card. Usually, like if you counter blast 3 and then recover 1 and then take 2 damage, then you can do armor break 2 times, right? So it's quite important. I do see people using the Eradicators paired for counter charge, but I think it's taking up too much space. So yeah, I choose not to go for that route because I think the other parts is more important and helping me to push the game a little bit further. For Helena, I did do some mistakes during the match that I thought he can actually counter charge whenever I just bind something, but it's actually only when you have no face up card on your damage zone. So it's not perfect, but at least it gives you the chance to go there, because if you take 4 damage, you use all your counter blast, you recover 1, then what you need to do is try to gain for a heal. But it can happen, and you just need to, and you don't actually aim to play for a long game because armor break is here. You just 1 punch going in. If not, try 1 punch more, then you should be winning. And with armor break, the good thing about armor break is as long as you have 4 damage, you can block sentinels, right? So even if your first hit didn't land, you can still push damage to your opponent to 4, and when your armor break attacks, they still need to give you something to guard because they can't simply PG it. And if you open a crit, this game over. And then Mighty Bolt Dragoon for gravy searching, because we always want these with us. And then something that we can drop with Mighty Bolt Dragoon, Rising Phoenix, because we always binding cards and it just come out to be a good attacker. That's all you want. And then we are going to triggers. So it's an armor break deck. We're going for 8 crit, and then we get 4 draw PG so you can survive, and 4 heal guardians because we do need heal to actually try to activate armor break once more. So that's a very simple lineup. I have to say I don't suggest to use the vertical shield because we actually do need to draw power, and sometimes vertical shield is just not enough. Sometimes I'd rather to have a PG so that I can at least completely block one attack, and I have cards like Rising Phoenix that I can drop, so it really doesn't matter. The lineup is doing good for me, but if you really want to do like a 12 crit, I won't stop you, but I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, so I think there isn't like something that I can talk about the best lineup, because what you need to choose on your right is only one of these, and depending on how many damage you have and stuff, then you decide what to go. But the suggestions I will give is if you at 3 or less damage, you probably won't go for armor break. You'll probably go with this, because then the next turn you can run on top and pull this out plus 10k. It's probably a better play. But if you are very aggressive, you're willing to take a lot of damage while your opponents don't know you're playing armor break deck, because they see a lot of these parts, they don't know your grade 3 yet. If they don't see one, then you can just take damage to 4 or even 5, before you right grade 3 and then you just go in and punch and you might just get a sudden win. That's a like first time killer is a very good option, I think, because even if they see this coming, they might check the skill and they will start limiting the damage they give you. Then of course you can go for this, right? And even the next turn, if you don't have 4 damage yet, you can simply write another one and pull one out. Then you can choose not to use the counter blast 1, right? And this will still give your Vanguard plus 10k, and you know, still swing, and even if the turn that they still didn't give you enough, you can still go for this and build up another one. And you can choose not to use the skill yet, like in the anime, that you choose to go for armor break when you see a chance to win. Not that just spam the skill whenever you can. It's like, of course, if your opponents rush you that hard, put you to 4 to 5 damage before you write grade 3, then of course go for it. Counter blast 3, wipe their front row, make them suffer, and probably win there because this is your win con. Yeah, so I think that's all I need to tell, but if you have any questions with the deck, feel free to let me know. The only issue is the counter blast issue, because counter blast 3 is heavy and we don't actually have a lot of counter charge resources, and even if we are using the Eradicators one, is helping, but it really takes up too much space and you actually aren't healing that hard, right? So I still have a kind of a waiting or backup plan while you're preparing for armor break, and as long as you ride into armor break, you can start doing your stuff. And that's basically what the deck want to do, and just use cards like Dust Plasma to pump power and keep drawing cards and such. Then you should be able to win. If you can't, you can't. But again, it's a very interesting, fun deck. You just go in, no one knows what it is. You just one punch them and they just get out of the game sometimes. And this next match, right? Yeah. So that's it for this deck profile. Do let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, or any other cards that you suggest me to use. Feel free to let me know too. Maybe something that I like didn't see, or is actually a very good option, then I might actually try it. Except the Eradicators, because I really trying to make space for different toolbox cards. But other than that, feel free to let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.